Today we're back at making Swedish classic dishes, and we're making meatballs and stewed pasta. And this dish clocks in at 806 calories with 48 grams of proteins, 95 grams of carbs and 25 grams of fat. And to start this off, we're going to finely chop up 2 onions that we're going to put in a frying pan that we have preheated and added 2 grams of butter to. And making meatballs in Sweden might be a bit different than from other countries, because for our ground beef we don't know the actual fat content. They label it as less than 12%. So all that we actually know is that it's going to be less than 12, but the actual number we're not really sure of. This also means that we're going to just label this as 12% because that's probably what they're using. However, next step is going to be to add 1.5 deciliters of milk to a bowl and adding 2 eggs, and we're using 1 kilogram of ground beef, and I like to use 10% of breadcrumbs for that, so we're using 100 grams of breadcrumbs. We are adding salt, we are adding pepper. I should have said we're also adding salt to our onions. And then we're adding 3 tablespoons of vealfond. And we're also adding 2 tablespoons of Dijon Mustard, but I forgot. But you should, because that makes this much nicer. And then we're just gonna mix that up and leave it until the onions are done. Now our onions should have become nice and soft, meaning that we are going to add them to our milk and breadcrumbs mixture. And just give that a quick mix as well. We have salted the onions, we'll salt the breadcrumbs, and for ground beef I like to use 1 teaspoon of salt for every 500 grams. I think that's usually a good starting point. So we're going to add 2 teaspoons of salt to this as well. And then we're going to add some nutmeg. Don't need a lot, but a little will be just fine. And then just give that a mix. And our batter is done. And you can, when using ground beef, if you want to check your seasoning level, what I like to do is that I'm just going to take a little piece, put it in the microwave for 20 to 30 seconds. That should have cooked it, and then we can just try it and it will be safe and fine, and we can add salt if we need to, or anything else if we feel the need for it. Of course you can just fry these, but frying meatballs in a frying pan while doing big batches are going to take a lot of time. So since we don't want to waste all of our day, I'm going to do these in the air fryer. It's much simpler, much faster. And then we're going to start rolling some meatballs. And to do that, it's easier if you just rinse your hands in a little water and then just start rolling away. We don't need that many to do the first batch if you're doing the air fryer method. So basically just 1 plate of meatballs to start off, and then we can put them in air fryer and roll the next ones while they're frying away. You can probably do more of them if you want, but I think not crowding the air frying bucket things makes it a bit nicer. And we're going to do this for 180 degrees for 5 minutes. And once we're halfway there, meaning to 30 remaining, we're just gonna take the basket out, give it a shake, and put it back in. And the meatballs will be done when they come out. What I like to do is just to freeze them in batches, so we can just take them out and fry them when we need to. And as I said, just roll the other ones while you're waiting for them to cook. Another thing you should think of is that the basket is gonna be very hot, so just be careful so you don't burn yourself. And that means that it's time for us to actually start cooking our main dish. So we're gonna start off with the pasta, and we are going to use 100 grams. We're going to salt our water and pour in the pasta. Use another 2 grams of butter for the meatballs. You don't need to, and if you're using frozen meatballs you should probably start them off earlier, but since I'm using the ones I just made, which you could eat, but it's always a bit nicer to actually fry them, they will be done approximately the same time as our pasta. So we're just gonna boil our pasta until it's a bit shy of al dente, so not really done, but almost. Drain it, put it back in the pot, and then add 2 deciliters of milk, and I'm using the 1.5% fat kind, and put it back on medium heat and just stir that until the milk has reduced down, until it's nice and creamy. And we're also gonna add some pepper and some nutmeg. However, since we salted our pasta water earlier, we don't need any more salt. Your preferred consistency is gonna vary from person to person, but however, think that it's gonna firm up a bit even after you take this off, so you want it a bit wetter and a bit looser than you think your end result should look like. That means that I usually remove it when it looks like this. And that's it. I think it's very easy. I usually drench this in ketchup, but that didn't look quite as nice, so I kept that picture to myself. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy.